Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on another Business Bookend, a part of our Beyond Real Estate podcast. This week we have our guest with us.
Welcome to Beyond Real Estate with Jalen, the podcast discussing parenting, real estate, and business. Every week we go in depth on how to become successful in life and business. Nick, take it away.
Will Draper. Will, you're a real estate coach. Tell us, what is your opinion on the necessity to have a coach?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's interesting. I've been on my own outside of the W-2 world as a business owner for about the past 8, 9, 10 years. And when I first transitioned out of that W-2 world into entrepreneurship, if you will, I didn't have a lot of direction. It was just winging. And I didn't, at the time, surround myself with the right people or support system to really take my business to the next level. I was able to do enough to get by, and it was just like this giant plateau. And when I transitioned into like real estate, but it doesn't have to be real estate, it could be any business, any entrepreneur out there, anybody wanting to really push the boundaries of what they can do and what they know, I constantly am trying to learn. So I'm always reading, always studying, but I realized there was always something missing. And when you think about the great athletes in our time, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they had a coach on their team, but they also had another coach to push them beyond. So anybody that really wants to grow and strive to be above and beyond what they could be needs somebody to push them into that uncomfortable zone. Because if we're just relying on ourselves, the same thing, go into the gym. If you go to the gym on your own, by yourself, no trainer, no friend, no support systems, you'll probably work out, but are you going to get in the best shape of your life? Probably not, because you don't have somebody there to keep you accountable, to give you new ideas, give you new perspective, keep you motivated. And just from my personal experience, I decided I needed to seek out coaching because I was like, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm operating by the seat of my pants at like medium level. Like I'm very mediocre at this point. I want to be great. What do all the great people do? And I was like, the great people have support system around them. They have mentors, they have coaches. So I was like, let me give this a shot. And when I did, within the first year of me actually hiring somebody to coach me and train me up and keep me motivated, I like tripled my business. And it tripled it in that first year. And then the year after that, it tripled again. And it's because they always kept me pointed in the right direction and always kept pushing me. And that doesn't mean it'll happen for everybody. It's you get out of it what you put into it. And I put everything into it, but I had that guide along the way, somebody to keep me accountable, somebody I didn't want to let down because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And it led me to a place to where we were once several years ago, as early as 4 years ago, I was struggling financially, like pretty bad. I was like 20, 30 grand in bad credit card debt, no money in the bank. I had a 2 and a 4-year-old, and I was like, holy crap, what am I doing? Like, I am just failing my family. So I was like, I got to get somebody to whip me into shape. And then within 2 years, I completely turned it around to where, there's 6 figures in the bank account, and there's 4 investment properties that we own. And my income on a monthly basis is what I got on a yearly basis straight out of college. And that wouldn't have happened without somebody to put the guardrails on and keep me focused on the end goal and set those goals. And I realized I just started coaching myself back in February of this year, actually. So I haven't been doing it a super long time, but it's because I was affected so much by it. I can see how much it can do for somebody. I realized that it's something I needed to do to give back to other people because I know it absolutely works. Coaching keeps you guided. It keeps you focused. It gives you new ideas. It gives you new perspective, and it helps you really reach for wherever you want to reach to. I had these audacious goals, and I was like, I'll never be able to get here. And then coaching really allowed me to do that. And I've still set big goals for myself. And even though I'm a coach, still I have 2 coaches to coach me. And I'm a coach. I still run my business. I'm a coach. I have an investment business. So I have 3 income streams, and I still have 2 coaches myself. I have a coach to coach me to coach, which sounds really weird, but it's accurate. And then I have a coach in one of my professional businesses, and I'm looking for a mentor for my 3rd business. So every business that I have, I actually have a coach for. I know I would not be where I am today without that. And as I look like across my room, I have a big board on the wall, which is one thing my coaches had me do. I have a date on there, 2/8/31. That's my birthday. When I turn 50, that's going to be my retirement date.
Oh,
which is 8.5 years from now. So I have 8.5 years to get to a point where I can retire if I want to. It's not that I will, but because I have that goal and my coaches are pushing me to get there, I'm doing everything possible to make sure I get there. And that's my very short version of why I think people should try coaching.
No, I love that. And I want to touch back on a few things that you talked about. You used some great examples, for instance, like a fitness coach. Anyone that's tried to work out knows what a pain in the ass it is on the third day. First day, you're knocking it out and you're feeling like a champ because you're like, I just knocked out my first day. This is the first day of a long road of success. And then second day, you start feeling a little achy from the first day, but you're like, I can still knock this out. I'm dedicated. Third day, your ass is whooped. And you're like, I don't know that today's going to be the day that I work out again. And then you're like, you know what? I deserve a break. I'm going to pause on day 3 or day 4. Maybe you're stronger than me and you get to day 4 every time. And then, day 5 comes and you find something else why you can't work out. And day 6 comes and you find something else why you can't work out. And then day 7, and then it's 2 weeks, then it's 3 weeks, so on and so forth. And you're like, man, you look back and you're like, if I had been working out for the last 8 weeks when I started on that first day, I'd be so much further and closer to what my goals were than if I wouldn't have started at all. I have literally done nothing for myself. And a coach keeps you accountable. The coach, at the end of the day, is there for your success. And so a fitness trainer is going to make sure that you show up day 3. They're going to make sure you show up day 4. They're going to make sure you show up day 5 because they know that the self-imposed limits that you might be putting on yourself are just that, self-imposed. They're not the end-all be-all. They're not the real reality of the situation. And so that's ultimately from any coaching that I've ever gotten, from business coaching to fitness coaching and talking with other fitness coaches or sports coaches. That's always where I see the biggest benefit when it comes to a coach. And I'm glad that you backed that up with your journey, because that makes me feel like I took away some of the correct learnings, even though I don't have a fitness coach anymore. So a little bit of a hypocrite there, but
There's another thing that I'll go ahead, Will. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say that I think another angle that a lot of individuals struggle with, is that a cost to me or is that an investment, right? And I think when you find good coaches, it's 100% an investment. And I think a lot of people just generalize and say, what would I need a coach for? What could I possibly need a coach for? I'm a professional in my industry, right? And that's just going to cost me money. Versus, as Will already talked about, the constant challenge to hold yourself accountable or hold you accountable, and 2, to be open to new ideas. And because it's a struggle sometimes, right? When you've been in the game for 5, 10, 15 years, how do you stay fresh? How do you stay relevant when things, again, it's a constant change, right? Just because we've done something over and over again, it's not a validation to keep on doing it. And I think that's definitely one thing coaches can help with. So
yeah, I think I want to touch on one thing you said there. You said a professional, right? A professional. Let's think about the word for a minute, professional. Do you want to be a professional or do you want to be a leader? I think that's the differentiating factor of people who decide to do some form of coaching, no matter what it is in their life. If you want to be a professional, anybody can be a professional. Anybody that has a job is a professional. But if you want to be a leader in your field, you've got to have somebody to take you there. Do you just want to be on the team, or do you want to be the star of it? Do you want to be a leader? And I think people that want to be a leader, want to push themselves, want to be better versions of themselves, those are the ones that end up doing the coaching. And I'll allude back to the fitness thing. Do you guys remember The Biggest Loser on TV?
Sure.
yes.
Okay. Now, they brought on some very obese, heavyweight people that they were in really poor health, right? And then for that 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever, however long the show was on, the transformations that those people made because they had that daily accountability were mind-boggling. But if you've ever done the where are they now, a year, 2 years later, half of them are back in the same shape that they were before because they didn't have somebody keeping them there, pushing them. Us as humans, we are flawed creatures on this planet. And it is hard to keep pushing yourself. Like, I work out 6 days a week, but I drink way too much. I drink way too much beer to actually show it though. Life's about balance. Life's about balance, man. But I work out hard, but I don't look at myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, that dude works out 6 days a week. And it's because I'm not pushed. Like I go and like I run about 15 miles a week and then I lift weights on those off days. But if I had a trainer, I know I'd be so much further along because he'd be asking me about my diet every single time.
Yeah.
It's not just about, it's about all the periphery stuff too. Like when my coach coaches me, it's not always about business. Sometimes it's about life because it's not all about business. If you make everything all about business, you're missing the mark because life is the most important thing. And being reminded why we do whatever business you're in, you're doing it to hopefully provide you and your family like a great life.
And
just reminding yourself of what the why is.
Yep.
And can you clarify this for us too? Because this, just thought of this when you were saying that, is life is almost seemingly trying to derail you from what your goals are. There's always going to be something. And the reason that, probably the most important reason that I'm seeing now for coaching, didn't think of this before, is when life gets thrown at you, your coach is going to tell you and help you work through how that isn't going to derail you from your goals, versus if you're like, oh, I can hold myself very accountable. I make sure that I do all the stuff that I know I need to do. But it's like, when you hit that roadblock though, or you hit that thing that just completely derails you, what gets you back on track and back on track so that you're further than you were before, or still as far as you already were down the road, versus having to almost restart again, or you relapsed and you started just buying baseball cards left and right, and now your family has no money, all your savings are gone, and being like, yeah, my savings goal is just destroyed. Now I need someone's help again to get me back to where I was. But a coach in general, when there are those roadblocks, when there is that derailment, they also help with making sure that you don't lose the progress that you had, or help you make sure that derailment doesn't happen again. Is that true, Will?
It's more so reminding them of why they set the goal in the first place.
Okay.
You don't set arbitrary goals. Like the goals are set for a reason. It's not that, like, if I just reference real estate, I'm going to sell $50 million this year. Okay, why? Because I make X amount of money. Okay, what does that money do for you? It affords me to take care of my aging parents. It affords me to be able to put my kids in the school I want to put them in. It affords me to not have to stress about money. Like, it's all comes back to, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? A lot of people get into real estate because they want the flexibility to be dads, right? I got into this and I still take my kids to and from school more than my wife does. She does a lot of the homework and stuff, but I'm taking them to and from school. I'm super involved in their lives. I want to be able to go coach soccer when I want to go coach soccer with my son, or go watch my daughter dance. Like, you get into, I got into this profession to educate people, but also to be able to spend as much time with my family as possible. And I realized at that point, when I was very low, struggling with money and had those young kids, was, why was I doing what I doing? And I was doing it for my family. And I realized, okay, I have to be focused. I can't let these side swipes, these side distractions take me off, because I'm doing it for my family. And I think if we all just remember why we're doing this, and I'm not sure I buy into the what's your why thing, but it's the reason you do the goal, the reason you set the goal, the reason you get up every day. Like for me, it's my wife and my kids, right? So everything I do for them, and all the work and the long hours I put in, and like the amount of work I do in the day is just mind-boggling at this point with everything that I'm doing. But I do it all for them. I'm not doing it for me. In fact, if it was up to me and it was just me and I didn't have wife and kids, I'd probably be in like Colorado, like drinking beer and snowboarding every day.
Nice.
Doing nothing. But when I have this,
your
like,
reality. We'll welcome you over here in Colorado. We'll happily do that. Not from
I lived in
Texas or
Wyoming,
Florida, so
yeah, I lived in Wyoming for a little while.
Okay.
But my family gives me reason and they give me purpose. And I think if you really focus back on your reason and your purpose, even though you can feel like you're getting derailed, your coach will be like, what's your reason? What's your purpose? And I had a client earlier this week. She's been really struggling. And I was like, so why do you get up every day? And she's like, I don't even know. I was like, how old are your kids? And she's like this. I was like, when was the last time you went on vacation? She was like, oh, we did this. And I took them to Disney. I was like, are you going to have those memories forever, or just like a couple weeks? She goes, oh, forever. I was like, do you want to do that again? She's like, yeah, I want those memories again. I was like, let's get off your ass and let's get back to work. Because if you want to take your family on vacation to Disney again, to have those amazing memories, what do we need to do to make that happen? She's like, we need to do this and this. I'm like, exactly. Let's go do it. Let's put it in play. And I'm going to text you every day and to make sure you're doing these things, to make sure you can take your family on vacation. And it's reiterating that last part to make sure you can take your family on vacation, reiterate to the person the goal that they had in mind, right? It's just like when people are moving, why are you moving? They're not moving to move. There's a reason always there, and reiterating what their why is behind what they're doing.
Love that.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that summarizes this topic up very well. I would encourage anyone who is listening to this and is still against the idea of coaching, please post that down below, because I'd be very interested in hearing opinion as to why it's not needed. I don't know that this was the discussion as much as a masterclass from Will. So Will, thank you so much for the time and the insight, because again, as you just alluded to, it's perspective, right? And it's reminding those of us that are in our certain spaces, it's not reinventing anything. It's just that reminder and that accountability that is really the driver behind it. Love that. I hope our listeners and watchers out there have some takeaways. Please share this with someone that you know could benefit. And if it meant anything to you, if any of this resonated with you, please give it a share. And if you don't want to miss an episode, just hit that subscribe button. So thank you for joining us. Until next week, this is This Week. Checking out for now. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks again for listening. If you want to hear more of Jalen McKenna, Colorado's mortgage dad, and his take on the Colorado real estate market, or just mortgages and mortgage news in general, check out the links below.
Also, check out the links below for more information on products, books, or references made in this podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.